story, where he was born. Kenneth and his siblings, Helen and Leslie, both now deceased, were raised on the Rosebud Reservation, where his family ranched and his mother taught school. At only 6 years old and in the first grade, he stayed in Mission, South Dakota at a boarding school, coming home on the weekends. His first 2 years of high school, he attended Shadron Prep School. Kenneth graduated from Valentine High School in 1955. He excelled in football and basketball. Starting in 1955, for 4 or 5 years, Kenneth competed in rodeos, winning the bareback riding at Merriman and Valentine. He team roped with Stan Whipple as well as other ropers. Over the years, Kenneth was active, competing at ranch rodeos with others, several good Sandhills Cowboys. One of his most memorable wins was placing deep at the Black Hills Stock Show at Rapid City, South Dakota, shortly before he retired from the arena only a few years ago. In August 1955, he was drafted into the Army. He trained at Tacoma, Washington, and was stationed at Fairbanks, Alaska as a security guard. After his release from the service, he worked for the Harry and Dick Miner Ranch south of Merriman, Nebraska for 18 months. Anything required for ranching, Kenneth could do. In the winter, Kenneth fed hay with 6 head of workhorses and a wheel sled. He fed 942 cows and 50 bred heifers every day. Kenneth waived drawing wages so he could get a start in the cattle business and with the tribal leases. He then returned to near St. Francis, South Dakota to begin his own ranching career. Accommodations were rough. Living in a chicken brooder house, he had no electricity and only a propane stove. He had to shake the snow off the bed covers every time it stormed. For 15 and a half years, he took care of 550 cows year-round for Kenneth and Don Simons. Through the winter, he hitched a 2-horse team to a wagon with cake and an extra saddle horse every day for a 7-mile, one-way trip. Gradually, Kenneth increased his own cattle herd. In 1967, Kenneth and Lila moved to the original dry bred ranch. They have 2 sons, Brad and his wife Shirley, and Lynn and his wife Trula. For over 40 years, Kenneth contracted hay from Wood Lake to the western borders of Cherry County. Until the last 2 years, hay was always stacked in an 8-ton stack. That required a crew of 12 to 15 people. The last 2 years, they went to baling hay. Kenneth has a mechanical mind. He can fix anything with baling wire and spit. That was until tractors and equipment became computerized. For several years, Kenneth contributed to Cherry County Fair Board. Times were always tough. Kenneth traded horses since he was 13 years old to help make a living. He could see when a good horse had potential to be a good one. He kept his sons, Brad and Lynn, well mounted as they competed in Little Britches, high school, and college rodeos. One of his horses, known as Tattoo, was Super. He knew the difference between calf roping, steer wrestling, flag race, and breakaway roping. Tattoo's son, Chappie, traveled for years as a lining horse for steer wrestling. Another horse called Sun took Lynn to the National High School Rodeo in steer wrestling with his incredible speed. Kenneth's insight for a good horse comes from within. When you shake his hand, you will feel his sincere love of life, and when he talks to you, you'll notice he too has a kind eye. He's always been satisfied knowing a job is well done as long as you do it to the best of your ability. For years, Churchill's, along with Buzz and Shirley Kime, have made the trip to Las Vegas for the NFR. He and Lila have sponsored many of their past employees with monetary help, furthering their college education. What a satisfaction that must be. Kenneth knows no other way of life than being a cowboy. He and Lila have been working their dry bred ranch in Cherry County for over 50 years. Together they have raised two sons, a strong herd of cattle, and many good horses. Kenny is a horseman, a cattleman, but above all, a cowboy and a friend to all. Kenny's not one to pat himself on the back, but he will talk to you about winning some money in the bareback riding in his younger days at the rodeos around the Sandhills in South Dakota. And up until just a few past years, Kenny and a team of cowboys competed around the region in ranch rodeos. His team won second at the Rapid City Stock Show not long before he quit the rodeo trail. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenneth Churchill.